Hello again from my front porch. I am in Nashville, Tennessee, taking just a little bit of break from work to be able to hang out here at the Ryman Auditorium. Now, you may be familiar with the Ryman Auditorium from, some of its notable history as the home of the Grand Ole Opry, at least for about 3 decades. But before that, it had a life as a church. Actually, that's what it was built for. You might be thinking, well, those look like church windows. There's a reason for that. They are. You see, way back in the 1880s, there was this evangelist named Samuel Jones who was going around, and this guy named Thomas Ryman went to one of Jones's crusades, one of his revival meetings, with the intent to sort of, mock him, to ridicule him, to disprove him. But instead, what apparently happened, according to the stories, is that Mr. Ryman was impacted, and that he decided, okay, this spoke to him, that what Jones was saying and preaching, and so Ryman became an actual devout Christian after that point, and he set about to build this big, massive facility over about 7 years that cost, I think, in today's terms, over $3 million or something like that. But it took 7 years to complete this thing. By 1890, Jones held his first indoor revival meeting here because Ryman wanted there to be a place where evangelists like Jones could do big scale revival meetings indoors. And so I guess you could say this is like our first, the nation's first megachurch. I don't know. Now, you're not used to maybe seeing this side. You're probably used to seeing more of the side that's over that way. But it's, as with most historical things, it's surrounded now by urban areas, by busy businesses. And so, I can film it, but I can't stand there and do this because there's too much traffic and pedestrian walkway. I had to find this sort of, unused back road, back alley behind this one side of it so that I could stand here and talk to you about it. But still, in 1890, Jones held his first revival meeting in the Tabernacle, that it was called at that time, the Union Gospel Tabernacle, and that went on for a while. Now, Jones wanted to have it named after Ryman at the time, but Ryman refused. He said, no, this isn't about me. This is about God. This is about the work that Jones is doing. And so I want to make sure that that's where the credit for this goes. But when Ryman passed away and they held his funeral in the Tabernacle, at that service, Jones again publicly said we should name this after Ryman, and there was overwhelming support for that. And so that's what happened. And it became Ryman Auditorium. Now, over the years, after Jones passed away especially, and was no longer doing meetings here, obviously, there was some effort to start using it for non-religious purposes in order to bring in money to keep paying the bills. That's necessary. A lot of churches do that today, even to this point, where there's a church, but then they'll rent out or lease part of their facilities or their fairgrounds or campgrounds or whatever, and in order to bring in some money. And so that's what they were doing here. But over time, that actually became more of the focus of it here. And then in the 1920s, there was this little thing called the Grand Ole Opry. It wasn't really called that initially, a little country music radio show originating out of Nashville, that it became so popular that and it was only a radio show, that's all it was. But people would travel wanting to come see the performers at the radio station where there wasn't room to watch them. And so they moved it into a smaller facility, and then that facility became too small, and the crowds were overwhelming. And so ultimately it moved here. And in the 1940s, the Grand Ole Opry began its 30-some year run here at Ryman Auditorium. And that's where Ryman Auditorium the most from, is because this is where people like Roy Acuff, like Bill Monroe, like Ernest Tubb, all of these individuals, these foundational artists of classic country music, this is where they performed. And we're talking about back at a time where Johnny Cash was known as a rock and roll singer, along with Elvis and Jerry Lee Lewis and Roy Orbison and those guys from Sun Records over in Memphis. This was the classic Grand Ole Opry, and this is the kind of music I listened to in my house growing up. We had two kinds of approved music in my home growing up: gospel music and this kind of Grand Ole Opry music. And so because of that, for a while after I moved out of the house, I didn't want to listen to any of that, any of this kind of country music, preferring more of the modern country, which I do still like. But as I have matured, I have actually started to come around to appreciate more the artistry of the individuals who performed here at this point in time. See, up in the 1970s, then they decided even this facility, that the Grand Ole Opry was outgrowing even Ryman Auditorium, and it wasn't going to be able to stay here, and so it moved even farther to another place out at Gaylord, now where it's located now. They did take a piece of the stage from Ryman Auditorium, a circle like where the spotlight was, and they took that out of the stage here and installed it in the new facility out there because they wanted to keep a piece of that tradition, that rooting to the past. So that's kind of cool too. But still, the point is, for a lot of people, they still mentally equate the Grand Ole Opry with Ryman Auditorium. It hasn't been here since in the middle of the 70s, but for a lot of people, this is still the home of the Grand Ole Opry. And I'm in Nashville for work to visit a job site, but I had just a little bit of time here, and I thought, how do I want to spend that little bit of time? And I decided this is what I wanted to come see. The place that we all acknowledge as being the home of the Grand Ole Opry, at least as we know it today. So hello, Ryman Auditorium or Union Gospel Tabernacle. Beautiful facility, and it's a beautiful day here in Nashville, Tennessee to enjoy the beautiful facility. All right, with that, probably need to get to work. And so I'll let y'all go, and I'll see you next time from my front porch.